That thing might beat me, but I could fight that thing. They had lions. I wasn't going to try that. They had a giraffe. I think I could probably kick a giraffe's ass. I mean, what's it going to do? And smack me with its neck? And then,
The only one who threw up. I don't know how I was the only one who threw up. The smell was so bad.
So come on up here, Nicole. Just come up here and just kind of talk about anything in front of class just to get comfortable. So that is like terrible to me. I know it sounds like it's really easy. You guys do it all the time. Like this podcast, you guys do great.
all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 1% podcast. I'm your host, Vin.
I'm Shane.
And today we have a special guest. We have Tom Brady's ex-wife. Just kidding. We have Nicole Brady, who is Shane's... Whose wife?
It's his new wife. Although don't tell my brother-in-law. He might get a little upset.
That's right. So she's actually got two husbands right now. It's Tom Brady and his brother-in-law. So she's doing great in life. She's got a few businesses, a few marriages. We'll learn all about her in a little while. Shane said he wants to start us off with a funny story because he's a funny guy and he's got some things. He got giddy. He told me, he's like, Vin, I have a funny story to share today. So we're going to just dive in and let Shane. Look at that smile. A few people watching on video. He's got this big cheesy smile. He's so excited. So let's let him go. Go ahead, Shane.
That's exactly what it is. Funny is the very appropriate word. It was a childish little thing that I've been wanting to do for 4 years now. So on Facebook and YouTube, there was these terrible little, I don't even know if you would call it like just prank videos, but there's this thing called surströmming, which is a Russian fish that's salted. Right? So there's these little fillets that are salted and then they're cured and then they're in these little tight fit cans. So these videos, they start out, you open them, and the whole goal is you have to eat one. So that was the goal.
Wait. Hold on. These things aren't Russian. They're from like Norway.
Are they Norway? I thought they were Russian. I feel like
no, they're from a European country.
Salted fish.
They're like Icelandic. I mean, we could.
How do you know this? Have you done surströmming?
I haven't done it. I've just seen the videos of it.
Okay, so you already know where this is going.
I know it's a delicacy that nobody wants to eat, yet it's still considered a delicacy.
So Nicole, my sister-in-law, Nathan, and my two nephews, every time they come, I try to do something fun. Whether it's, fart spray or hot gummy bears or those bean bamboozled jelly beans, which, you'll get like a booger or a vomit one or something like that. I try to do something like that as the fun uncle. And so I got this surströmming out. I'm like, okay, it's time. It's happening. So we go into my backyard because we're definitely not opening in the house. And thank God, because it reeks. It's a smell beyond smells. Nicole wasn't there. She was upstairs talking to Natalie, my wife. And I told Nicole, I'm like, you need to come and smell this thing. So she came out and smelled, and she almost threw up herself. Mm-hmm. It was that bad, just by one woof. Like, that's all it takes. So the can's been in my pantry for 4 years. It's been on move, and it's got bumps and creases along the can. So it's really hard to open. So I start out, I'm the alpha, right? I'm sitting on the table. I'm going to open this thing, no problem. I'm going to force my nephews to eat this thing. It's all going to be fun and games. I last maybe 2 turns on this thing, and the smell is so overwhelmingly bad that I'm starting gagging immediately. And thankfully, I recorded this whole thing, so I'll send it to you, but it's not going to go online yet. And I can't do it. I can't even get next to this thing. So I have my brother-in-law. He steps up to the plate, and he's just going like this and just handling it with ease. And after about 10 minutes, we finally open this thing up. There's no fillets. There's no fish. It's all bones, and it looks like cat food and vomit together. It's just all purple and gray and just disgusting. So still, someone's got to eat it. Someone's got to do it. So we put these plastic spoon and the fork and plates, and we grabbed one out, and it's just all just dripping with this liquid that's just disgusting. It's all bones. So it's bones on this little plastic spoon and this nasty liquid that's on top of it. You know, like when you open a fresh can of Spam, you get all that like jelly around it. Imagine that liquid form jelly just dripping on it. So we put it onto the plate. At that time, I got up. It's so overwhelming, I threw up. It happened. Liquids came out of my body. I'm not proud of it, especially because I'm not proud of it because I was the only one who threw up. I don't know how I was the only one who threw up. The smell was so bad. So my nephew's like, how much money will you give me if I eat this? I'm like, $20. I'll give you $20 if you eat it. So he first started by taking a little spoonful of liquids, put it in his mouth. Fine, gagged a little bit, not that big of a deal. Then we grab a little piece of this concoction that's in there, and after 2 minutes of him convincing himself that he's going to eat this thing, he put it in his mouth, he spit it out immediately, and then started running. He didn't puke, but it was just a gag fest for, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. And then the rest of the night, we watched that video, I think, once or twice, and just enjoyed the terrible surstrummen video that everybody else has suffered while doing that. Except ours was 4 years old with no fish in it. So there's our surstrummen story.
I don't think there is actually fish in it. I'm pretty sure everybody
There
just
is.
gets gel.
No, there's fish in it. I've seen them where they're actually like little fillets. Because apparently it's a delicacy in Norway that Vin's an expert.
Actually, so it's actually Sweden.
Sweden, okay. Which is
Sweden.
even weirder, to be honest.
Fermented Baltic sea herring.
So the sea herring, it's a delicacy there. They eat that. It's just salted, cured, right? It's cured herring. So, and it just disgusting.
No. It's fermented. It's not cured.
Okay, it's super salty. I tasted it. And I said, maybe you get this be the special person and watch this video one time. But man, that smell is something that's unforgettable.
Why does anybody even eat this? If we have somebody listening from Sweden, which I don't think we do, can you please reach out to us and tell us, like, do you guys actually eat this, or like, did it just become a thing and you all hate it too?
All right, so the surstrummen was terrible. That's really what it comes down to. Nicole said she actually had dreams about it. I mean, I try not to think about terrible stuff like that. Nicole, how bad was this dream?
It was bad. It was.
How detailed?
It was so bad. I said,
Was
we
it
did
something-
the jelly bean thing, like he said in the past, and I had dog food and I threw up. It doesn't even compare. This smell is so potent and so deep that it haunted me in my dreams. It was terrible. Yeah, that little whiff of smell, I gagged. Even watching the video, I almost gagged watching Shane throw up. It was so bad. So if you do ever visit him, Vin, he's probably going to have that can ready for you.
I mean, then would you do it?
Yeah, why not?
Would you do it?
I think he would.
I've smelled the dead bodies, so
Ew.
Oh,
I can't imagine it smells worse than
God.
that.
is that like just your new cologne? Like just...
No, man, it's
Dead
like the
bodies.
time being in the fire department.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I definitely knew what it was about. Thank you. For
Well,
making it
maybe
more
our
serious.
listeners, all three of them didn't, so I need to inform them.
I mean, Ben, have you done anything, terrible like that, or you have any funny stories before we kick things off?
Well, I'm not going to go into the gross story, because, see, when you asked about this stuff, now it's like triggering my memory of being a firefighter, but I'll leave it out. I could just have a good imagination. But very funnily, there's always these Facebook or Instagram posts of like, what is your toxic trait? For guys, I think a lot of us have a toxic trait that we pretty much think we could fight anything. And I kind of lived that on Thursday. So I took the day off and I went to the zoo with my family, and almost every animal, I was like, I could probably fight that thing. So I was there with my dad, and we were looking at the hyenas. I was like, I could kick that thing's ass. He's like, no, you can't. I'm like, of course I can. I'm like, look at it. It's not that big. I'm bigger than it. He's like, do you realize how big their bite is? I'm like, you think that thing's going to get me in its jaw? I will knock that thing in its face the minute it lunges at me. It's like, do you realize how big his claws are? I'm like, what is he going to do? He needs them to stand. I'll kick him out. Like, I don't know, man. His logic's off. But then as we continued to go through the zoo, I was like, yeah, I could fight that. That thing might beat me, but I could fight that thing. They had lions. I wasn't going to try that. They had giraffes. I think I could probably kick a giraffe's ass. I mean, what's it going to do? And smack me with its neck? And then monkeys. I mean, obviously, I was like, I could beat up the monkeys. So I had a great time just comparing to what I can and cannot fight at the zoo. It was an awesome day.
I had that same day when I was like 9, and yeah, I think it was the same.
9, I'm sure you would still get beat at 9. Like, you should go back, do it again at this age, because now you might actually win some things.
Oh man, I personally don't think you could beat a hyena, but I don't want to go into conversation on why. So for this sake, Vin, you're destroying that hyena.
Listen, we're gonna have to go to Africa and find out. We'll bring the camera. We'll get the viewers to see.
What are you doing?
What?
This is like a Fight Club safari version.
First rule of Safari Fight Club: we don't talk about Safari Fight Club.
To be honest, before you get to the hyena boss, I really want to see you try to fight a giraffe. Like, are you just like jumping and punching?
So
and use a ladder?
No. That'd be silly. So what I would do is I would.
That'd be silly.
Yes, that would be silly. I'm not gonna jump and hit him. I'm 5'8". So what I would do is I'd probably wear my really good shoes that have great grip, and I kind of imagine, much like when I would climb the rope in gym, I would just climb the leg like the rope, and then once I get on its back, I could kind of just climb up the back, get to the neck, and then choke it out from behind.
Those neck whip speeds. Yeah, it's a neck whip speed. Those things. Good luck. You choking out a giraffe?
Yeah, man.
All right. No way it's happening.
It's all neck. I'm 5'8". I still wouldn't even have the whole neck, but that's where you choke it out and you bring it to the ground and kind of keep it there, you know?
Then I am not joking when I say this. That is a $10 million easily pay-per-view idea. Like, if this doesn't work out, we pitch this to freaking Netflix. Like, hey, I'm gonna get sign off by PETA or some sort of organization that's going to approve me fighting a giraffe, and people are going to pay to see this.
What if we do that? It's like, I'm going to go to Africa and I'm going to fight everything except for a lion and a cheetah and a rhinoceros and an elephant. But everything else I'll fight.
And a hippo and a hyena.
No,
jaguar.
Hyena I will fight. A hyena is like the coup de grace, the real...
Any sort of mountain cat.
Yeah, we don't do mountain cats.
Even a warthog would just wreck you. A warthog would even wreck you. I could fight a warthog.
As long as I don't get caught in a tusk, I will rip that thing's tusk out and beat it with it.
Vin and Pumbaa. That's the new Lion King sequel.
Oh my God.
Akuna kicking everything's ass.
Oh, man, I love it. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. So the reason why, now we got to get back to our regular podcast. The reason why we are brought on here, besides telling you amazing stories of, things that'll never happen, and, me vomiting.
He has no idea I've already chartered the jet.
My sister-in-law is an amazing woman, and I wanted to bring her on because she's got a great story, of how she went to college and started a business and sold it and came into another one. So, Nicole, where did you start? Like, what gave you the idea to even start a business in the first place? Why did you want to do it? How did you transition into, I'm working for the man to becoming the woman?
Wow.
Yeah,
God,
that
Nicole,
happened.
please
Guys.
just go. Go, Nicole, please.
That was good. Don't lie. You're just jealous you didn't say it first.
Yeah, I'll also stop saying amen and start saying a woman. Go ahead, Nicole, please.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man, you guys. So I had to create something that worked for me. And I know we're military. So my first husband's military. And we move a lot. So there wasn't a job after college. I got a business degree. I really wanted to be in my mind something high, like corporate running something. That sounds fun, but it just doesn't work with the reality of what I wanted. So my kids are extremely important to me, and sacrificing time is just not one of those things. So I had to really create something that worked for my situation. And it was finding something that I could create, that I could work. And then my kids are at school. And when they come back home from school, I'm mom. So that's where everything kind of started with the first business, was creating that. And it worked. But yeah, I couldn't have a 9-to-5 job or anything like that.
I mean, even the fact that Nathan, my brother-in-law, Nicole's husband, military, travels a lot. The fact that you went from just stay-at-home mom, which is a tough job on its own, right? And all the responsibilities that come with it, on top of doing that with a job, like your own career, your own business, that's amazing. Like putting all that onto your shoulders and getting another income, it's phenomenal. Like we really can't downplay that situation. Now, I wanted to talk about this college story because this is the first time I heard it was yesterday, and it really is a nice story. You know, it's I'm not going to put any spoilers in here for you, so I'm going to let Nicole put it out here. Nicole, talk about this college story here that you told me yesterday.
That haunts me.
Yes, I didn't hear it.
So my college story. So I don't go on a whim. I'm not good at just doing it. I'm very prepared. I'm organized. And so what happened, I was in business class, and it was our last project, and we had to create a business and present it to obviously our professor and the whole class. And we have to get investors to invest in what business we created. So that is so fun to me. I love doing that. But one of the days the professor looks at me or she's saying, okay, so let's just practice talking in front of people. So come on up here, Nicole, just come up here and just kind of talk about anything in front of class just to get comfortable. So that is like terrible to me. I know it sounds like it's really easy. You guys do it all the time. Like this podcast, you guys do great. That is not my thing. So I went up there and I started shaking, and I literally could not talk. Like my jaw locked and I started like crying. So embarrassing. These are people that I know. Like these are all, I've been in class for weeks, and terrible experience. Everybody felt, of course, bad for me. So I go sit in my desk and I'm done. And long story short, when the project was done and I had to go up there and present, that's not an issue with me because I'm prepared, I'm organized. And the professor was like, okay, Nicole, you can just do it from your seat, which obviously I'm never going to do. My assignment is to go up there and present this, and I'm going to. It's just, I'm prepared. So of course I go up there and I knock it out of the park. But going out of my comfort zone and just go up there and speak on anything, I could not do it. It was humiliating, and thanks. Reliving that was terrible. It was one of the most embarrassing things in my life. It was so embarrassing.
But you have to understand the outcome here, and I know Vin could talk a lot more about this than I can, is we're not all great at something right off the bat. Right? Besides Vin apparently fighting giraffes, like he had this unknown talent.
And hyenas.
It's something that you develop over time and skill. And, comfortability is a habit. It's nature forming. And when you get out of your comfort level, you start developing new habits and new comfortabilities, and you're getting better at certain things. And what you just finished with is exactly why I wanted you to tell that story. Right? You were up there. You weren't prepared. You wanted to wing it. You didn't know what to say. You didn't know how to start it. You didn't know how to end it. You didn't know, what jokes to say or whatever. And you froze up. But when you came, you didn't want to sit in your seat. You stood in front of the class and you crushed it out of the park. And that's exactly that rise up story. You're like, that's not happening to me again. Because you could have gone to two different outcomes. You could have never shown up to that class again because you were embarrassed or whatever happened. You could have just sat in your chair and presented, right? But you didn't. You learned from that. You said, I'm not that person. I'm not going to do that. I am going to be prepared. And look what happened. So I think it's very important for you to see that whole story. Because as I've gotten to know Vin didn't become himself and I didn't become myself just like that. It's our story, how it happened. We learn from troubles, failures, and, the struggles of life. So I think that's a great story.
Look at Shane. Look at Shane doing some life coaching over here. You trying to steal my job or something? Like, what are you doing with this whole reframing? This is my shtick. Stick to your VAs.
I hang out with you too much, man. That you're rubbing off on me.
That's it. Shane, see, I should have given that speech and Shane should have said, and next time you need help writing a speech, we could have a VA do it for you to save you time, energy, and money. And then you could just present and do what you're good at as the business owner. See, this is how these speeches are supposed to go, Shane. So now I got to add something else where now I'm just going to do like a little bit of a segment of live coaching because the reality is that people need something from me. So here's the thought. There's actually something really good in there because I was having this conversation yesterday with one of my clients that like this is almost exactly resembling anxiety, or more appropriately, like what you were dealing with, which is a very high level of anxiety. So you got lockjaw, you had a physical manifestation of your anxiety actually impact you. It's interesting because there's no such thing as a fear of the unknown. And a lot of the times when people hit these high states of anxiety, they think like, oh, I'm afraid, but I don't know why I'm so afraid. I don't know why I'm so nervous. But the reality is that we always know what we're afraid of. We've either created a situation in our head, which then builds up that anxiety, and we're afraid of that happening. So there's a level of certainty that this thing I don't want is about to occur. Or it's because you've had a previous experience where you were embarrassed in front of everybody in a moment that was similar to that, and you were afraid of reliving it. But either way, it's interesting because in situations like that, like what Nicole had experienced, what we see is that people are ultimately creating the experience that they're either about to have or that they're afraid to have. And that's what creates higher levels of anxiety. So for any of our listeners, for Nicole going forward in her public speaking career, it's all about not being attached to the fear of the outcome you don't want, being present and mindful that all you really need to do is just stay in your moment because no outcome has occurred yet. You don't know what will occur. And some people see that as scary, but some people see that as scary because they don't believe that the best situation could occur. So for anyone who's listening who might struggle with some sort of stage fright or whatever the case, use that as a tool to help you stay present. So let's dive back into Nicole's story, though. I don't want to make it all about me. I just had to upstage Shane in my own profession. That was all it really was about. So
Good
anyway.
stuff, Vin. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I always like your stuff. Yeah. Good.
When you say this kind of stuff, we like your stuff. When you go off topic and talk about giraffe beatings, nobody likes it.
Why are you're more hung up on that as I said my piece. I said I'll beat it up. You've already mentioned it 4 times since then.
I feel like that's how important you need to really understand your probabilities of losing to a giraffe.
Listen,
I agree. That's Nicole.
Hold on. My man wanted to slap me in the face and say, but no backsies. Here's the reality.
Triple
I have a life mission.
Double stamp.
No. I have a life mission to impact 1 billion lives positively. I also have a new life mission to beat the hell out of one giraffe. Okay, we're gonna see.
He was not listening.
One of them is gonna happen, or maybe both. We'll see. Now let's get back to Nicole. Thank you.
So Nicole, we started from, which is a great college story. So let's hear about your job. What did you choose, for you still having that, time with the kids, which is the most important. And I absolutely agree. Vin and I both have kids. What did you choose? What happened? Let's hear about it.
So what did I choose? I don't know if I would have chosen what I'm in right now. What happened was we're military, so we move a lot. And I have started my old business many times successfully. So I finally sold it because I thought we were going to move and I didn't want to do this again. So I was kind of just going into like the next phase of life. My boys are older. So it was something like, okay, what are we going to do to when we retire? And we want to travel. So I wanted something that I can work away from home, or wherever I'm at, I can work if I needed to. So, and my husband, he's retiring soon as well. So he pitches ideas all the time. Entrepreneurs at heart, like I love starting businesses. So he would pitch them to me, and he got turned down all the time. So, but he did start kind of following people about insurance. So that's where it kind of led, was let's create our own insurance company. So we did. So I love creating businesses. So I went and did logo, did the website, really kind of started figuring out what I needed to do. I was going to be the back end business person, and he was going to be the agent. And with having a job already. So this is a lot on his plate. And I guess I didn't realize that it's not fair. Long story short, that business, it was set up to be a success, but just my husband didn't have the time to be the agent to actually fulfill that. So again, I had to reevaluate. We really did lose money. Leads are expensive, and it's a process. So I decided that I need to start helping. So I ended up studying, I got my license, and I needed to be an agent. And that's scary. Like, I don't like it was just so foreign. And it was almost the same fear of when I started my business the first time. It's very uncomfortable to start something that you don't know if you're going to succeed. That's very foreign. So what I do is, again, I don't fail. So I needed to figure out, I benchmark off of people. So you kind of benchmark off of everybody that's successful, or not, even not successful, kind of see what everybody's doing. And I heavily researched, I guess, I don't know if you could consider, I'm an independent agent, but I consider my boss or my mentor. So heavily researched what she does. She's successful. And I guess, long story short, just researching what she did, I succeeded. I've been doing it for probably since October. So for a while now. And I I succeeded. I did what I was going out to do.
Not to, as she's downplaying succeeded here. The mentor, they essentially have like a lead nurturing and sharing system. It's almost like a round robin, as you would call it. Like, if, unless I'm saying it wrong, when you clock in, you essentially have leads that are, you can either outreach, outbound calls, or you have leads that come in that you can handle, right? You have cold and warm calls.
That's exactly it. Mm-hmm.
So she's part-time, right? Because she has the kids. And how many people are in that system that share these leads of the round robin and getting this lead list?
Yeah, there's 90 agents.
So out of 9, how many of them are part-time?
I don't think any. They're all full-time agents. I was
She's
the only
crushed
part-time.
them every single month after month, being part-time. Crushed their numbers. The mentor loves her so much, invited her to the podcast. She's going to be going to Rome pretty soon here because of those numbers that she's continuing on a part-time basis. But most importantly, the story that you said, I think that's what's most eye-catchy, is that you and your husband had the idea of starting a business together. Didn't come to fruition because he already had a full-time job and it just wasn't manageable. Instead of failing, backing out in the idea, or it being too hard, you transitioned your mindset into, okay, well, I have to make this work. So you got your license. You became what was foreign to you because you're introverted, and you learned how to sell, and you've never done that before. You learned how to become a people person. You built the website. You became the back end person. You became a full blown entrepreneur from a partnership. I don't know many people that can do that, right? A lot of people will either get discouraged because they wanted the idea of doing this with their significant other or a business partner. And if that didn't come to fruition, done. I've been in a few businesses where I have business partners in. And if one of them wanted out, my first idea is not, I want to take over. So I think that's amazing. Once again, still doing this on a part time, and kids are number one priority and not needing the income. It's just like, it's an amazing story, Nicole. It really is.
And I
I think
appreciate that. And I honestly, it really does. My whole life, I've always been put in a box. So that was one thing where when I started this job, she's like, there's no part-time agents. She didn't say like, you can try, but she did. So to me, I was determined. And really, I was doing it for myself too. I know I could do it. It takes work and it's hard. You got to have good work ethic. But again, if they can do it or she can do it, I can do it too. So let's see what I can do. And that's it. Is I don't like being put in a box. So I'm going to prove that I can do this. And I did. So yeah, it's.
Then does that not describe the 1% mentality to you?
I would say it does. I believe that, when we talk about the 1%, it's always this like going back to, it's not about being a billionaire. It's not about that, don't get me wrong, that is another level of 1%, right? Or another, I don't know what that would be. It's just another form of 1%, right? But there's always a 1% in everything we do. And so Shane and I have even talked about, hey, like, what does it look like to be a 1% parent? You were doing the whole momtrepreneur thing where you were being a parent, you were raising kids, and yet you were still starting a business. And it's just a specific mindset, because you don't know how many times, especially for me, because this is what I do, is I sit with people and listen to excuses like 99% of the time. And before I started working with high performing individuals, the average person just continuously would sit there. Back when I was sitting as a therapist in a private practice or a clinic, I would just sit there and people would just come in. They're like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. And I'd be like, well, what about this? No, I can't. Like, I have one client who was complaining. She didn't like that she wasn't making enough money. She wanted a better lifestyle. She worked she was a paraprofessional at a school. It's a good job. It's an honorable job. In New York, salary for that is like $50,000. You're not a full teacher. You're a helper. So the conversation was, well, why don't you get your master's and become a teacher? Oh, no, I don't want to be a teacher. Okay, fine. That's cool. You don't have to be, right? But as a para, you also get out of school at 2:30 with the kids. So I was like, well, what about working after school? Or what about starting a little bit of a side hustle? Like maybe you could tutor, or maybe you could do this, or maybe you could do that. And she'd be like, well, I had no time. I'd be like, well, what do you do after school? She's like, well, I have to cook dinner. I have a kid. Her kid is like older though. Her kid's like 16. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, like, what about the weekends then? Oh no, I want my weekends off. I work during the week. So that was one of the reasons I stopped working with people that aren't high performers, is because people will find a problem for every solution if they have a negative or a bad mindset. And that was one of the biggest things that I would see over and over and over. So yes, I agree with what Shane is saying. It is a very 1% mindset to be able to sit there and recognize that not only you want more out of life, but that you are capable of doing more to actually get more out of life. The question that I have is, like, why? Why didn't you want to just work a 9 to 5? Why didn't you just want to work for someone? I mean, it's very cushy, right? And we've talked about this on the podcast before. It's like, it's not a bad thing. I don't hate on people that want to work a 9 to 5 and do nothing else. I don't care. Well, why don't you want to be one of those people? What's it to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, mine is my schedule, and it is time. So 9 to 5 won't work. Like you said, I'm a parent, so my goal was to work when my kids were in school, and it just again, it doesn't work that way from a 9 to 5 for me. So my why was definitely to create my own schedule, and yeah, just create my own schedule and take time off when I want to and work the hours that I want. But my why too is also to kind of show my kids that it can be done. Hard work with doing this pays off, and I can be just successful as a full-time person if you put like hard work into that and just showing them that it does exist. So
That's a great point.
The mindset here that you have for boxing is, you know, I don't know if you've been told this, but I know Vin and I have talked about this, of people saying that you won't succeed. This is as far as you're going to get, whatever it is, people saying no, 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 no. And then the fact that I think that's also the 1% here is the fact that it's like, just watch. You sit back here in the sidelines and you watch. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's almost like that motivation, that little extra push. It's like, I'll show you what I can do. Yeah, I loved your story. You know, thank you so much for jumping on with us, Nicole. You know, I think our people are going to love you. Hopefully we grow from 4 to 5 followers from this one here. I'm just thinking, I think this one's going to go viral. But especially after hearing the stories here that we put together before this as well, on a different level. But yes, thank you so much for joining us today. And good luck. I talk to you like you're not my sister-in-law, but good luck in life. I look forward to, you know, talking to you obviously constantly about it. Vin, any final thoughts here?
Yes. For any of the listeners who are still struggling to make transitions, the biggest thing that Nicole said is that she recognized her value system. So if you don't know why you're doing the crap you're doing, if you struggle to understand what your next step should be, I'm sure Nicole sat down and did this, whether she realizes it or not, is you need to sit there and just figure out what your values are and make a list. Top 10. What are your top 10 values? What are your top 10 things you don't value? And if you're somebody who's miserable, chances are you're living in your don't value list. If you're somebody who's happy, chances are you're probably living in your value list. If you have no idea what the hell you feel on a regular basis, you really need to do a value list. So my advice for any of you out there who are trying to figure out how to transition your life, figure out your values, then build a life around that. Then message me and tell me how awesome your life has become. Other than that, thank you for joining us today, Nicole. We appreciate your story. We appreciate your insights. And we are the 1% Podcast. Join us next time, you know, with me, Shane, not Tom Brady's ex-wife, and we'll have some more cool stuff. Maybe you'll hear about a fight that took place somewhere in Africa. Who knows?
God.
Tune in next time, everybody.
See ya.